Welcome to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful trendy peplum blouse. It's very beautiful and very elegant. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this blouse now, I've drafted my basic bodies already. Then I'm going to be drafting my off-shoulder bustier pattern. So this is also an opportunity for those that does not know how to draft an off-shoulder bustier pattern. You can also learn that now. So now the first thing I'm going to be doing is to insert my nipple to nipple measurement, also known as the bust span measurement. That's the distance between one nipple to another. For this person is 4 inches, is 8 inches, sorry. I'll be dividing that by 2 and I'm adding ½ inch allowance to it. So that's going to give me 4.5. So I'm marking that 4.5 on my under bust and also on my I'm marking that on my under bust and my bust point. So let me label that. This is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is like the half length. Okay, so this is for somebody with a big tummy. So I prefer to, it's a peplum top actually, so I'll be attaching a flare to this. So I prefer to add the flare not too far from the under bust area, so I just added this allowance to it. Okay, so now I make this bust span measurement into a straight line. And this is what I have. Okay, so now to take my dart, I'll be taking 1 inch on both sides. 1 inch dart leg. Okay, I'll take that on the half length area also, and then I'm going to make that into a straight line, and then I'm going to connect that to my bust point. So I'm not going to be connecting directly on the bust point. I'll go down by ½ inch, and then I'm going to take a curve and then connect it on both sides like that. Okay, I don't want this to be too long, that is why I'm trying to just rush it. So after taking my dart like this, I also go over to my bust dart also. So to take my bust dart, I'm just going to take my measurement. So the bust I'm working with is 44 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 11 inches. So I don't have enough paper. I'm just going to be drafting the exact measurement here. Then later, when I'm transferring to my fabric, I'll add the necessary allowance. And the waist is 36 inches divided by 4 is going to give me around 9 inches. So I'm going to take that also, and then I'm going to connect it. Okay, so for the waist measurement, 9 inches. Remember, because of those that will say, that will ask if I did not consider this dart, I've considered the dart allowance. So I have 3.5 here already. So I'm taking the 3.5, then I'm omitting the dart. So I'll paste the 3.5 after the dart, and then I'll continue my measurement to give me the exact 9 inches that I need. Okay, so now after that, I'm going to take my bust dart and I'm taking 1 inch also, and then I'm also connecting it to the bust point, but not exactly on that bust point. I'm leaving like some allowance there. Okay, so this also will be going off. Okay, I hope you understand that. So I'm extending this bust span measurement upwards because I want to do a little bit of tightening on the upper bust area, and this is going to be having a yoke also. So to take my yoke measurement, I decide where I want it to be. So from my upper part here, I think around 8 inches or 7.5 inches is fine for me for my yoke. So I have 7.5 inches here, and then I determine how I want to connect it also. You can measure what you have here and divide it into 2 or whatever it is that you want to use, and then using the curved side of my ruler, I'm going to connect that. Okay, so this is going to be my yoke for my front, and I'll be cutting that with net. Okay, so this is the yoke for my front. So for the tightening that I want to use, you can just measure like ½ inch on both sides here, and then you connect it to your bust point. So our first front block is ready now. I can cut this out now, then we'll move over to the back block. But the back block is quite simple, so I'm just going to place them against each other, and you can see that for the back block it is shorter in length from the front block by 2 inches. That's the 2 inches that we are taking for our bust dart here. So by the time I take these 2 inches that and I close it, it should be accurate on the sides here. So if you place the sides together now, you see that it's shorter by these 2 inches. So once we close these 2 inches bust dart, it will become the same thing. But the little modification that I'll be doing on the back block is also the yoke. So I'll take the measurement of the yoke that I want. I can maintain this chest line for my yoke, which is 8.5. Sorry. Okay, I can maintain this chest line for my yoke, which is 8.5. So if I maintain that now, then I decide the shape that I want my yoke to be at the back. Okay, so now I'm not going to be, you can make it a V shape or whatever it is that you want, but for me, I don't like, because I'm using a net, I don't like my zipper to just go through that net, because net is a bit soft. So I want my zipper to stop around here. Then I'll decide the style that I want for my yoke. Okay, so for this yoke now, I'm just going to be curving it a bit. So at like the midpoint here, I'm going to go out by maybe 3/4 of an inch like this, and then using my curved ruler, I'm going to curve it. So I'll have something like this, and then also here I'm going to complete my curve. Okay, so this is the style that I want to go for my back yoke, and by the time we cut it out, you understand it better. So it means all this zipper allowance here for this upper part is going to go off. Okay, so this is the shape that the back is going to take, and then I'm going to be adding like a bra hook around here just to add them together. But the neckline that I want to go for, this is a natural neckline which is just 3 by 1 inch. The neckline I want to go for is like a cano neckline or boat neckline. So I'll be increasing this 3 inches width to 5 inches, and then I'm going to connect it back to my neck depth. Okay, and the same thing that I did here, I'm going to be doing for the front block also. But remember, this has like a scuba design in the front, so we are still going to go over to do that, but I want to cut this out. So I've labeled this, that's the back yoke, and it's going to be cut on net. Okay, so this is the excess. So I'm cutting out the yoke now. And then I'll cut out my dart. Okay, so this looks very similar. So you need to label this your zipper allowance. This is your center back. This is your side back. You can even make arrow to show that this is where you attach your yoke to, and this side is going to meet each other, so that I don't get confused. That is why we are doing all this. Okay, so now I've labeled this, and then remember this has no allowance, so on this side I'm going to put add allowance, so that you don't cut and then realize that you don't have enough allowance for this. So our back is ready now. We're going to be cutting them on fabric, and I'll set it aside. So now I'm going to work on the front part, because I'm still going to cut like a scuba around that front. So now the first thing is just to cut out all my darts, and then add the necessary description, so that I don't get confused when I want to cut this on my fabric. And then remember that we changed the neckline for the back. Okay, so here now I'm going to be measuring the same 5 inches that I used for the front here, and then I'm going to be connecting it to my neckline also. So I hope you understand that. So for the benefit of those that have been asking for a tutorial on off shoulder bustier, I hope this explains it, but if it doesn't, let me know in the comment section so that we can do a special tutorial on that. Okay, but if you are okay with this, then fine, we can make do with it. Okay, so this is the center front. This is quite obvious, so I don't think we can make any mistake with this. And that is the side front there. So now the next thing is to slash our bust dart open, and then we'll close our bust dart. Okay, I'm not supposed to cut it off. My scissors just since I'm going to be adding the masking tape there, I'm going to take care of it. Okay, so now that you put your side front and center front together, now you see that you have exactly the same thing. That was what, okay, this is the center back, this is the side back. Oh, you see why I said you should label it. So if you put it together now, you see that they match now on the, so the 2 inches that is shorting here at the back is what we've closed here at the front now. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do now, to cut out my scuba part, I'm going to be cutting this center front and side front on another pattern, and then I'll show us how we are going to shape it. Okay, so for the scuba part, I've redrafted this. This is the center front, and then let me label this. This is the center front, and then I put another pattern on fold, and then I cut it out. So this is the fold part of the center front. So I put this pattern on fold now, and then I placed my pattern on it, and then I cut it out. So I have a full center front. So this is going to go for my scuba, and then I redrafted the side front also. Okay, I just placed this pattern for the side front on another paper, and then I drafted it. So you choose the side you want your pattern to go for, then you label this also scuba. So you are not going to be altering this part, we are only going to be doing that on this side. So now the alteration that I'm going to be doing there is just to connect it from this curve now up to my under bust area around here. And to do that, you can either use your free hand, but since I have a curve, it will be doing that for me. I'm just going to be placing my curve now, and then I'm going to be connecting it like this. So once I connect it like that, I'm going to take my scissors, and then I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so once I cut this off now, make sure it's smooth. So these two will be cut on scuba. This is the yoke for my front, this is the main front, it will be cut with the lace fabric. This is the center front for the main front, it will be cut with lace fabric also. And this is the yoke for the front, which will be cut with net. And then I'm going to add here that I need to add allowance, because there is no allowance on this. And also on this side, I'm going to be writing that I need to add allowance to it. Okay, and these are all the patterns that we need. I hope you understand it. Okay, I don't want the video to be too long, so I have to just go through it. So these are my front pattern with the yoke. This is the part that I'll be adding scuba to, and these are my back pattern. So now I'll go over to cut this on my fabric, and then I'm going to bring it back so that we can continue what we're doing. So I'm gonna need to cut out my fabric. This is the scuba part like this, the two sides, and this is the yoke, which I'm going to be cutting with the net. So I doubled the net, and I'm going to be using them to turn each other. Okay, and these are the main pieces. Sorry, this is the center front, this is the side front, and then I added allowance. Remember, the pattern we use does not have any allowance, so you had the allowance. That was why I wrote add allowance on the pattern. This is the side back. So now the next thing is for me to cut out my wording to pad the center front and the side front. So I'll cut out the wording, and then I'll start to join them. Okay, so I've gone ahead to add my wording to it. This is the center front, and these are the two side fronts. Okay, so I've arranged this. That's the the doll face is under the main lace like this. Okay, so these are the main fabric. So now I'll take this to the sewing machine now and then join them together on the sides on this side, and also do the same on this side for the front. And this is for the back panel. These are the two side back, and these are the center backs. So I'll go ahead and join them together also, then bring it back to show us. And I also use the same doll face fabric for the lining. Okay, so these are the linings that I'll be using to turn them out. So for the net part, remember I said I cut 2 nets. Okay, so let me just open it so that I will explain what I'm trying to do. The reason why I cut 2 nets is that I don't want to use bias to finish the neckline. Okay, so I just cut 2 and I'll be placing them on each other. So I'm just going to be sewing it on the neckline here, very tiny, so that I can use them to turn out each other before I attach it to the main bodies. Okay, so I'll take all this to the sewing machine now and then sew it, then bring it back to show us. So I've gone ahead to sew. This is the front part. You can see that they are joined together now. I can see our bust cup, and this is the side, the back, one of the back, and this is the other side of the back. So everything that I did to the main bodies has also been done to the linings. And for the net, this is the front. They have been used to turn out each other, and the neckline now is neatly finished. Okay, so this is what the front is looking like. So you just go take all this to the ironing table now and give it a good press so that it can lay well and relax for you. But you have to be careful, especially on the net part, so that you don't burn it. Okay, so this is the back, and these are the two front parts of the these are the two back parts of the yoke. I can see the design that we formed with this. Okay, so this is one and this is the other one. So for the scuba have also been sewn together. So this is the back. The scuba have also been sewn together. I just joined them together. Remember, it's just one side and some parts of the center front. So after joining them together normally like this, I just joined it together. Then I cut a long fabric of around 3 inches. Then I folded it into 2 like this. Then I pleated it on the upper part round like this. So after pleating it, this is what I have. Remember, it's just going to be on top of one side like this on the main bodies. So it's going to be here, and once we top stitch it, it's going to be up like this. Okay, so understand it as we go along. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to attach my net to my main bodies, and then I'll turn it out with lining. So I'm just going to place them against each other like this from the center front. I'm going to sew it like this and then sew it on the other side too. Then I'm going to bring in my lining and then use it to turn it out so that it can be neatly finished before I place this on it. Okay, so the nets have been inserted inside it like this, you can see, and it has been neatly turned with the lining. So this is the net, this is for the front, and this is for the back. Okay, so you should be ironing every step of the way as you are doing this. You can see it. So this is the other side of the back, and this is the zipper allowance part. So the net should not reach the zipper allowance. Remember when we were drafting it, we cut out that part also from the zipper allowance. So your zipper will go like this, and then your net is going to come like this. So you are going to be fixing like maybe a bra hook there just to hold them together. So now this is done. The next thing I'm going to do now is to bring in my scuba. Then you're going to set it very well. The dart line here, that's the bustier dart line, has to align. You place them well on each other. Then you remember, when we were sewing it, we pleated it this way. So now we are going to be shifting it here and top stitching on it, so that this pleat is not going to be lying on the scuba. It's just going to be standing on its own like this. So now you're going to make sure that you align them well, and then I'm going to top stitch on it like this. So I'll just fold in the seam allowance that I have here, and this is also going to help me to clean these rough edges that I have. So I'm going to fold it in, and then when sewing it, I can even raise my lining up so that I can sew it inside like that. So I'm just going to sew it following like this, and once I top stitch on it, it's going to raise up the way I want it to be. You can see what we have now. So it has been placed on it now. I just place it on the mannequin so that we can see it well. So just like I said, I just top stitched on it, and you can see that the rough edges now are neatly concealed. And before top stitching on it also, I made sure to raise up my lining so that my lining will also cover it. And so this is the stage that the blouse is in now, and you can see that it is looking lovely and is almost completed. So the next thing now is to join the front and back together, and then we will go over and draft our peplum, and then choose the sleeve that we want to attach to this. Okay, now so I've joined them together on the shoulder neatly, as you can see, and then I want to take them together and shape the sides. So this is what we have by the time we'll do that, and you can see that our peplum is taking form already. Okay, our blouse is taking its shape already. So now you just need to measure the waistline, or wherever it is you're placing your peplum, to get your circumference measurement. For this, I'll be using a half circle flare, that's a 180-degree flare. So whatever I have here, I'll be dividing it by 3.142. If you watch my tutorial on how to draft different types of flare, you understand that. So it is that measurement that I used as my radius to draft this. So I used 3.142 divided by 30. The circumference I'm working with is 38, divided by 3.142 gave me around 12 inches. So I used 12 inches as my radius, and the length I used is around 9 inches. So I just cut my main fabric, because I don't want the video to be too long. I cut my main fabric, and then I cut my lining. But the lining part, I decided to add gum stay to it because I don't want it too soft. And then I went ahead to use them to turn each other. Then I took it to the ironing table and gave it a good press. So this is what I have. But the peplum, if you look at it, is like 2 layers. I want to add like 2 layers of peplum. So this is the first layer, which is the half circle, and I'm using lace fabric for it. But the second layer, I'll be using scuba. I'll be using the scuba we used for the upper part for it, and it's going to be a full circle, not an half circle. So in this case, the 38 inches waist measurement, I'll be dividing it by 6.28, not 3.14, and then I'm going to be folding my fabric into 4 because it's a full 360-degree flare. Okay, so I folded it into 4, and my radius 38 divided by 12 by 6.28 is giving me around 6 inches. So the radius is going to be 6 inches, and I'll measure 6 inches round, and then the length I'm working with is around 9 inches. So okay, so 6 inches for my radius, and then from the 6 inches I'm going to measure the length of 9 inches. So that's going to be my peplum. So after taking the measurement, I'm just going to cut it out, and then I'm going to shape one side of the front as seen in the picture. Okay. Okay, so this is the full peplum. You can notch the front. Remember, we are shaping the side, so I'm going to be notching it on the front part like this. So I'll know this is my center front, Then you can bring in the blouse. Okay, so when you notch your center front for your blouse also, then use them to match each other like this. So once the center front matches, you know that it is on this side that I'm going to be doing the shaping that I want to do. So you can either notch that or you just mark it with your chalk like this. Okay, so this side that was chalked, I'm just going to fold it into two so that I can give it that shape that I want. So folding it into two means that I'm going to be shaping the two together. So you decide where you want the shaping to stop, and around here is fine for me. You can use your free hand or you use a curve, but I'm just going to be drawing a curve to meet that mark like that. Then I'll cut it out. So after cutting it out, you can place this on your peplum or on your mannequin to see the shape that is giving you. If it's something you are okay with, you can go ahead with it. If not, you can decide to reshape it. Okay, so now this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the center front. Remember, the shaping is going to be on this side around the dart area. So this is the center front, and this is what the shaping is going to be looking like. If this is what you like, you can go ahead with it. So now placing this on the lace, I just want to see what it looks like on the lace. So I'm notching the center fold of the lace also, and then I'm just going to be placing them on each other like this. Okay, so going to look something like this on the lace, and then I think I'm okay with this. So now I'll go ahead and then sew it to attach them together like this before I sew it to my main blouse. So I've gone ahead to attach it to it. The excess that I have, I just pleated it because I decided to leave some space before placing the peplum. And also I added like a 1.5 inch band with scuba to the main body. So now the next thing I'm doing now is to sew my peplum to my bodies, and then I can attach my zipper and my sleeve, and the blouse is ready. Okay, so this is our blouse now. It is completed, and you can see this is the first layer of the peplum and this is the second layer, the one with the scuba, and I used a zigzag scissors to trace it out, giving it this effect because it is not lined. And also on this side, the part that the scuba did not reach, I just used this bow to beautify it. I can see how beautiful and simple this is looking. So I went ahead to add a sleeve of my choice. You can add any sleeve you want. The full tutorial on how to make this sleeve will also be up on the channel. And on the back part, I added my zipper. I just held it with a clip because this is for a big size. The mannequin is smaller than it, and then on the upper part I just added a bra hook. So I may attach a video of the wearer wearing it so that you can see the fit on the wearer, and you can see how lovely this blouse looks. So give this a try and let us see whatever challenges you may come up with. We'll be happy to answer your questions in the comment section. See you in the next one. Bye.